However, Your Honor, there is a wide range of authorities which you could not manage to bring to this court in light of this ambush. Whereby, on various occasions, the High Court of this Republic, or rather the High Court of Kenya, has frowned upon such applications. More specifically, where no holding charge has been presented before court, which is the case herein. Your Honor, that denies the accused persons their right under the Constitution, that is Article 50, to know why they were arrested and why they are before court. Still, Your Honor, any orders granted herein, as prayed, would be in contravention of Article 49(1)(h) of the Constitution, whereby my client, the second respondent, is entitled to be granted bail. Unless there are compelling reasons which have not been availed before this honorable court. As I conclude, we reiterate that the averments by the prosecution, as contained on the face of the application and in the supporting affidavits, are mere allegations which have not been supported whatsoever to warrant granting of the orders sought. For example, Your Honor, the prosecution states that my client may interfere with extraction of data from the communication devices, that is her communication devices. And also the phones of the deceased persons and witnesses. So, as it stands, Your Honor, it is my submission that the second respondent has no control of the said devices, as her phone was immediately taken from her. Secondly, she doesn't also have control of the deceased mobile phones. They are with the investigative agencies. And lastly, she has no control of the mobile network provision agencies, that is Safaricom and others. And briefly, in response to the victim's advocate, that is I'll be done in 1 minute, Your Honor. We submit that the allegation by, or the averments by the victim's advocate merely amount to giving evidence from the bar. Which is not admissible, especially taking into account that this is a court of record. In light of the foregoing, Your Honor, we pray that the application herein be declined and the second respondent be set at liberty unless she's being charged today. That's all, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
You have anything to say? Please take the result.
Yes, Your Honor.
Say it.
I'm objecting the application, Your Honor. Basically because the investigators have been involved. I'm saying, Your Honor, I'm objecting the application because close to 2 weeks from now ago, officers from the IPO and the Internal Affairs Unit, Your Honor. I'm saying officers from the IPO and the officers from Internal Affairs Unit. I've been carrying out the investigations. So I believe, Your Honor, they are done with it. And again, Your Honor, the issue of interfering with witnesses, Your Honor, cannot be a ground, Your Honor. Because the witnesses mentioned before this court, Your Honor, are not known to us or to me, Your Honor. So, Your Honor, I object to the application.
Magic, Kanyama.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have any response?
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor,
The court?
I'm highly objecting this application. By stating that for the last 2 weeks, the investigating agency have been carrying their duties within Embu. Also, Your Honor, I'm saying the witnesses which you have mentioned in this case, for me, I don't know them. I don't know them. So I don't know where the issue of harassing the witnesses is coming from, Your Honor. Your Honor, the investigating agency confiscated my phones. So I don't know, Your Honor, if I can interfere with the witnesses in this case, Your Honor. Thus, I highly object the application, Your Honor.
I object the application, Your Honor.
Your Honor?
Yes, Your Honor. I object the application on the basis that the investigation officers have been on the ground for about 2 weeks now, and they are supposed to be through with their investigation. On the issue of interfering with witnesses, Your Honor, they should have a legal report that we have interfered with the witnesses. And on the basis of interfering with the information in our mobile phones, Your Honor, how will we interfere with the information and since they have our mobile phones? Last, I object the application now.
I also highly object this application, noting that the investigative department have taken it almost 2 weeks in this case. I also see that there is no way we can interfere with the witnesses simply because our mobile phone was taken by this investigation agency. So, Your Honor, I object the application for that.
And on Mosi, I will give you a limited time, 5 minutes to that I think.
Your Honor,
Just 5 minutes, because the record has been stated limit Time.
Yes, my sister is Oya. Yes, Your Honor, I am
Nana?
Tabitha Oya.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I will respond. First, I want to respond on the issue of likelihood of interference with witnesses. Your Honor, the sequence of facts deponed in the supporting affidavit speaks for itself and has also been buttressed by the council and chairman of the NSK that there is heightened tension within the community where the incident occurred. And the examples given which support fact number 13, as that a motor vehicle was touched, and that was a potential piece of evidence that would have assisted in investigations. That is just one example of the many possibility indications in that area. And we also cannot ignore the fact that the respondents worked in that community and possibly lived in that community. That is an indication that there would be more interference, not only by them, but maybe by others who are in a position to interfere. Your Honor, we have indicated in the affidavit that the DPP has so far received the interim preliminary investigations file, which is not complete. But it gives an indication that the 6 respondents were involved in the killing of the 2 deceased persons. We have also deponed that some of the key witnesses have indicated fear. And Your Lordship, this fear is real simply because the circumstances under which the 2 deceased persons met their death is mysterious, but also very, very painful. Your Lordship, nobody wants to go through that. I need not demonstrate further fear by witnesses who need to be protected and the heightened tension in the community. I wish also to respond to an issue that has been raised about the rights, whether the rights should be limited or not. I reiterate that these fundamental rights are not absolute, and they give the prosecution a leeway when there are compelling reasons. The court has a leeway to reasonably limit these fundamental rights. Your Lordship, I reiterate that we are only asking for a reasonable period of 14 days. And thirdly, Your Lordship, Your Honor, I wish to state that the respondents were arrested only yesterday. They have not been processed. Including fingerprints and many other processes that they need to go through. And this requires time. I also wish to state further, Your Honor, that investigating officers from Independent Police Oversight Authority are rightfully mandated to deal with the matters of police excesses. And that they have taken over the matter, working closely with the National Police, noting that this is a matter of national concern. That explains why the deponent, Mr. Ibrahim Shunu, has sworn this affidavit. Your Honor, may the court also take notice of the fact that this affidavit only highlights the nature, circumstances, and the basis upon which the prosecution would like the respondents to be detained for a while. Does not necessarily focus on phones, mobile phones, as has been indicated by the respondents. It is wider. The investigations are wider than the mobile phones, and there is no duty upon the prosecution to disclose everything in the affidavit. With that brief response, Your Honor, we pray that you grant this application to enable us complete the investigations expediently in the interest of justice and furtherance of the criminal justice and public interest. Most obliged, Your Honor.
What is the only right here on the spot? Within the next 5 minutes.
Thank you. So that you don't have to or that
Mtu asiseme tu next week nikuje kazi, tuone kama ni yako. He said you don't have the copy. Just give them. Where's the one? Just give them a house.
Yes, I'm giving you that now. Our communication guy is just going to take the information.
Even all the pages. Take all the pages. So what are you showing me? Akizimeisha. Unajua the participants are many. You had more than 10, but these are the people who must have the affidavit. Let's say, you know the documents. We don't have them. We have run out of the copy. But it's okay. We will take from the other side of it. We had made a chance, but we have given out all of them.
Inanionyesha nini? Wacha nikufuatie uone kama ni yako. Mimi nikiona vitu kama hivyo naona ni kitu ni yako.
If you have nothing to do, go away. These are court. I'm still in session. I'm not adjourned. I see you don't. I order for you to be detained and I will give you for content. If you want to talk about, I'm still in session.
Nijitumia. Sex offenders. It should be. I'm sure everything here. These things are not even a shame. So I tell you, Nadi told us. I told you, Nadi told us she can investigate this issue. There's no problem here. She doesn't. Intelligence officers wanajua kwa ofisi yetu. Now reservation. If you for everybody to have responsibility kwa ofisi.
Well, thank you for staying with KBC Channel 1. You are watching the Lunchtime News. My name is Betty Kiptum. Now, 265,145 students are set to pursue degree and TVET courses in the 2021-2022 cycle under the government-sponsored program. According to Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha, 137,072 students will pursue TVET courses and 128,073 degree programs.
265,145 students who served the 2020 Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education have now been placed in universities and colleges. This is according to the 2021-2022 students placement under the government-sponsored program. Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoa noted that candidates who qualified for university admission are increasingly embracing TVET courses despite having attained the required grades.
I must be very proud to say that now the so-called C+ and above who everybody thinks will go to university, a sizable number of them, including those with A's and A- and B+, are choosing to go to technical colleges by choice.
Professor Magoa said out of 10,437 secondary schools that were registered as KCSE examination centers in 2020, only 2,506 submitted their candidates' university choices.
A sizable number, about 7,000, did not apply. And I accordingly advised that if they didn't apply, we have no business placing them. Because in the first place, I've told you, we have revised 3 times.
At the same time, the Education Cabinet Secretary also directed Kenya Universities Colleges Central Placement Service to conduct the inter-institution transfer process online between September 1st and September 30th this year.
Now, we are following up quite an important story for you, the murder trial for the Kianjokoma brothers who died under police custody under unclear circumstances. That particular case is ongoing at the Milimani Law Courts, and a ruling on whether the police officers will be released or will remain in custody as the prosecution seeks is set to be done in just a little bit. We are following up, or rather we are on standby, and we shall be bringing you that particular report. But remember, 6 police officers who were implicated in the death of those Kianjokoma brothers, the 2 of them who were buried last weekend, is ongoing. They have been arraigned at the Milimani Law Courts today. It's ongoing, and we shall be bringing you the details of that ruling anytime during this bulletin. Now we move on. Detectives and officers from the Kenya Revenue Authority are investigating a tax evasion syndicate revolving around a cache that was seized in Ruiru on Friday last week. The officers believe that diversion of the goods, which comprised electronics and tires, which were on transit to South Sudan into the local market, was a scheme by certain individuals to evade taxes.
The goods, according to KRA Chief Investigating Officer Mutembei Nyaga, which were in 5 containers, are valued at between 80 and 100 million shillings. Nyaga spoke during a verification exercise of some of the items that had been stored in a warehouse within New Horizons Park in Ruiru, Kiambu County.
Bidhaa ambazo tumeshika leo ikiwemo ni magurudumu na maredio na maspika za maredio. Tunatarajia ni bidhaa ambazo za kimo cha kiasi kati ya 80 milioni na milioni 100.
Nyaga added the verification of the goods is part of the investigation to establish the circumstances under which the goods that were destined for South Sudan were found in Ruiru.
Kuna bidhaa lori moja ambayo ilishikwa last Friday na wenzetu wa kutoka kitengo cha kupambana na DCI. Maafisa kutoka DCI walishika lori moja pia last Friday, na ambayo pia tutaichukua tuipeleke katika godown zetu ambazo zinaruhusiwa kwa sheria bidhaa kama hizi kuwekwa ndani kule.
On Friday last week, the officer of the Director of Criminal Investigation, DCI, through its social media platforms, announced seizure of the goods and arrest of 3 individuals behind the scheme.
And a school in Baringo County has come up with initiatives to help students who come from needy backgrounds to pursue their studies. Ruth Kiptum of Kasok Girls School came up with the Basket Day and Mothers Initiative, which helps to raise school fees and shopping for needy students through well-wishers.
Ruth Kiptum Kasok Girls Secondary School, which is in insecurity-prone area of Baringo North, came up with the Support Initiative's Basket Day and Mothers Initiative to give a helping hand to girls who have been affected by insecurity, early pregnancy, among other challenges. According to the school principal, Monica Buchichi, Basket Day is a day set aside by the school to raise shopping for those students who are unable to get shopping, among them sanitary towels, tissues, hence sustaining them the whole term.
So there are those girls who can be able to buy what they need in school, like soap, pads, pens, and everything. And then we have those who can't afford to do it because of the backgrounds they come from. So we talked to our girls, and we are actually teaching them to give, and we are encouraging the spirit of sisterhood.
Mothers Initiative is a program where mothers who are teachers and friends to raise school fees for the students.
Such a move should be applauded because it means therefore that the head teacher or the principal, they understand their students. So if they understand the students, they have taken action to ensure that they maximize the learning.
Melvin Kipserech, who survived being killed by bandits while looking for grass to sell to raise school fees, narrated her ordeal after sustaining gunshot wounds on her right hand, which forced her not to do her KCC exam last year.
Nilikuwa nikitafuta nyasi ndio walipe karo ya shule ndio nikuje niendelee na masomo ndio nisaidie wazazi wangu after nimalize shule. Hiyo ika affect sasa ndio after that nikarudi hiyo 2021 shule.
Another beneficiary, Kandie Sumoka, says her parents were unable to raise school fees.
Penye nilijoin Ruth Kiptui class, I came with all school fees, but we struggled. Me and all my brothers, sisters, we have been doing manuals. Then after doing manuals, we come and collect the money.
More than 100 students have benefited from the initiatives.
And a family from Bamba area in Ganze constituency, Kilifi County, wants to be recognized as part of legendary Mekatilili Menza history. The family is urging the government to set up a school in her name in Bamba for the society to remember and honor her contribution to the nation's rich culture.
The family from Bomba area in Ganze constituency, claiming to be relatives of the legendary Mijikenda heroine Mekatilili Menza, wants the government to set up a school in the area in her memory.
Na kuna barabara ile kwamba inatengezwa barabara ataitwa Nairobi, kila itaitwa barabara hiyo ya Mekatilili. Serikali, naomba serikali injenge nini shule watoto wasome.
The family from Akiza Mwaiha clan in Mtsara-Watsatsu village in the remote part of Bamba claims Mekatilili was born and brought up in the area.
Nini hasa mimi Mekatilili mbali yake ni Mkiza cha Mwaiha. Siwezi kusema mambo ya urongo. Nataka twende mpaka kama ni kesho kutwa twende mpaka pale kaburini kwa babake Menza na mkone leshimo Mtsara-Watsatsu Bamba.
The family claims the school will enable future generations in the area to know their history and the place of the community in the struggle of emancipation from the colonial rule.
Mwanamke wa Kimijikenda ambaye hakukanyaga shule alijua maana ya haki, alijua maana ya justice. Hiyo alijua maana ya kutetea jamii yake. Leo angefufuka Mekatilili wa Menza na kuona jamii yake aliyoitetea mbele ya mzungu iko vile, nina hakika angelia machozi.
For Lunchtime News, Amnesty, Imano Okoth.
Mandera GK Prison has released 16 inmates as part of the ongoing program to decongest prisons in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. Those freed include 7 prisoners who were about to finish their jail terms and 9 others whose crimes are considered petty. The move follows a directive from the Ministry of Interior and Coordination of National Government aimed at containing the spread of the coronavirus in correctional facilities.
According to Mandera Senior Principal Magistrate Peter Wasike, 16 have been freed following orders from Garissa High Court as part of mitigation against spread of COVID-19 in prisons.
Sahi tunashukuru prison, tulikuwa tunangoja hii sheria kuanzia Mei mpaka sahi. Imetokea jana na leo tuko hapa kumrelease nyinyi.
Mandera GK prison officer in charge Francis Mulandi lauded the government for its efforts to decongest correctional facilities, warning those released not to misuse the chance.
Tumeweza kurekebisha tabia zao na tunashukuru kwamba wakitoka nje wamekuwa watu wa kufuata sheria za nchi.
Mandera County Probation Service Director Mohammed Sheikh said inmates whose jail term will be reviewed to non-custodial service will be under supervision of probation officers with assistance from government administrators at the grassroots.
And to bring back life to the wood industry in the country after the moratorium on logging 4 years ago, the Kenya Forest Service is in the process of setting up systems that will rid the felling of trees of wanton corruption. And as John Jacob Kioria reports on the final part of our two-part series, The Pain of Nobility of our feature, KFS, however, has the task of eliminating rogue elements from within their ranks who have been colluding with unscrupulous sawmillers to deny government revenue from the trees in government forests.
Chief Conservator of Forests Julius Kamau now says procurement for the 5,000 hectares of mature trees allowed in the partial lift of the moratorium has begun and the industry could stabilize soon.
The disposal process for the 5,000 has already started. In any case, already we went to the public notice. We invited bidders, not bidders, but people who have interest to do business with the Kenya Forest Service with regards to roundwood, poles, firewood, and other forest products. And we gave them about 30 days to register on that platform, and most of them have registered. And of course, section of the forest industry went to court to object the registration. But hopefully that matter was put on rest yesterday, basically. And therefore, we are happy to engage.
According to Kamau, most sawmillers have failed to supplement government efforts at conservation, which would bridge the wood deficit in the country, which stands at 10 million cubic meters today.
It should not be perceived as if we are working in a different direction. In any case, the commercial forest plantations are developed and their working cycles are set to support the industry. Remember, we have the big four agenda, the housing and manufacturing. So we appreciate that. And that's why we are trying to create a good foundation that when we start doing business with them, it is sustainable. For them, they feel safe. They can even go for loan, knowing that I can still be able to access the material tomorrow. That's a plus.
Timber industry does not implement a policy. We don't have that mandate. The person who implements the mandate on behalf, who implements the policy on behalf of Kenyans is the Kenya Forest Service, because it is the body which was established by an act of parliament.
The Kenya Forest Service, in the meantime, is installing systems intended to rid the tree harvesting exercise of any corruption.
Kenya Forest Service has developed what we are calling an e-registration platform, because we want to go digital. We want to use platforms which do not necessarily have to have a high interaction of our human resource. And that is something that we have done. It was done by entire internal capacity by the Kenya Forest Service. And therefore today we have an e-registration platform on our website that is basically to register all the forest industry players within the industry.
But seeing that trees are a renewable resource and the number of mature trees continues to rise, what is KFS doing to trigger success stories from the tree harvesting in coming years?
We had a backlog of about 30,000 hectares of the plantations that were cut, felled, but not replanted. And therefore, one of the things that we have been able to do, it is to synergize our resources, working together with the projects that we have to be able to replant and restock these areas. And so far, we have been able to move from the 30,000 hectares backlog to now 14,000. And we continue. And we believe in the next one financial year, we should be able to clear off the backlog, meaning we should be able to harvest and at the same time immediately plant for sustainability, both for the predictable revenue for the government, but also for the forest industry.
After government imposed a ban on logging 4 years ago, and even after the lifting of that ban, albeit partially, there's no respite for sawmillers in the country. Much of what we've seen is back and forth between government and sawmillers. But one thing is clear, that the government needs to escalate escalate the conservation measures because nobody can underestimate the importance of a beautiful ecosystem. But secondly, the government also needs to find a sustainable solution to keep sawmillers in business. John Jacob Kuria, Channel 1.
Thank you, JJ, for that report. Now, taxpayers have incurred 300 million shillings in penalties owing to delays in the completion of the Ronald Ngala Utalii College in Kilifi County. The National Assembly Implementation Committee says the penalties have adversely affected construction works of the college that was projected to be built at a cost of 4.9 billion shillings.
The Ngala Utalii College project was initially being undertaken by the Kenya Utalii College before it was transferred to the Tourism Fund.
The construction of this project has taken too long. This is a very important project, not just for this area that the coast, but also for the whole country.
Construction of the college was scheduled to be completed in 2019 at a cost of 4.9 billion shillings. However, its completion did not meet the deadline of 2019 due to several factors, including delays in disbursement of funds to finance the construction.
In the contracts, based on the laws passed by Parliament, Cap 525 and I think 523, it is almost impossible to run away from the penalties and interest, in as much as they are, that high. We wish you would actually pass a law that blocks them, but after a certain amount, maybe we don't need to pay beyond that. But however, as it is now, we really, even if they took us to court, we'll have to pay.
The National Assembly Implementation Committee has threatened to blacklist the contractors.
Because it will be tragic for this project to stop. It will be a great loss considering the resources that have been put in place. So I think the most important thing is that it should be completed, but at the same time, whoever has been paid beyond what they deserve, then definitely will ask for a refund and also by listing of those people involved. But it's not personal.
The college, being built on a 40-acre plot, is a multifaceted tourism institution which would train personnel for the hospitality industry in Kenya. Legislators are calling for the fast tracking of the project to avert further costs to the taxpayers. Regina Manyara reporting for Lunchtime News.
While we take a quick break there on Lunchtime News, we will be back with more, including business and sports. Do stay with us.
Heights. One of them managed to escape and was shot to death. 2 others haven't come out yet. Probably Prince China's killed them.
Good.
You're my real father?
Your mother was Lady Tianxin. She was my wife before. You're from the Poison Clan.
Child, stay calm. I have a pill here. Take it and you won't feel as much pain. Is that better? For so many years before, I tried everything I could think of and finally got rid of the late queen. I worked so hard to become the most favored consort.
Na usisahau yale yake nimebwa kujidunga.
Cat, you are not serious. Hata mimi sijafikiria wewe utazungumza maneno kama hayo.
Wamaanisha Zara amefanyiziwa. Sasa wewe yule alivyo na mdomo kama kunguru, wafikiri atakajinyamaza hivi vipura bila sababu.
Anything you want to tell me? Please, just put it down here. Sasa. Okay, here you go.
Wewe ukiacha kuona wewe labda tutapumzika. Maana ilipo ninalokutafuna.
Bibi, mamangu ananivuka mpaka.
Mamako anajisahau.
this number mean to you? A pack leader? A winner? Or just a number? To us, it means freshness, boldness, vibrancy, and heritage. That's why at KBC Channel 1, we make it easier for you to pop up your family entertainment to a fresh, exciting, and colorful bouquet.
Welcome back. Let us now do the business news. Now, livestock traders in Isiolo want the government to roll out a livestock offtake program and cushion them from further losses necessitated by the current drought. They argue the current market prices are too low to sustain their livelihood as farmers rush to offload their livestock.
Livestock keeping remains the main source of livelihood for close to 80% of households in Isiolo County. However, the ravaging drought is threatening the venture as livestock traders rush to sell off their stock.
Sisi main economy yetu ni livestock ambaye karibu watu 80% wanategemea mifugo kwa maisha, ndio inalipa school fees, ndio watu wanapata pesa ya mahitaji yale yote.
Hedin Boru, a livestock keeper, says a fully grown billy goat weighing over 30 kgs used to cost around 14,000, but the price has gone down.
Kilo 32 tulikuwa tunauza na 13,500 to 14. Kwa sasa tunauza na 12 hata na 11,000. Kondoo naye kwa sasa iko wakati tulikuwa tunauza na 65 kama kilo 25, 28, lakini kwa sasa imeteremuka sana mpaka 1,500 mwisho.
Traders are calling for an off-take program to caution members of pastoralist communities from further losses.
Mali imekonda sana, kama ingeweza tengenunulia watu mali ajili ya jilali na ipeleke kwa KMC kama ingeweza isaidie wananchi.
Livestock traders have been advised to ensure that the number of animals is reduced before the situation worsens, as many animals could die due to lack of pasture and water. For Lunchtime News, I'm Brian Munyoki.
Across borders now, Dubai-based airline Emirates and local privately owned airline Airlink are expanding their existing partnership into a code-share agreement. This will enable customers traveling to and from South Africa access more than 40 domestic and regional destinations across 12 African countries. Details of these and others from across the African continent.
Emirates recently resumed its flights to Johannesburg, Cape Town and Durban. In a statement, Emirates noted that the code share with Airlink would enable customers traveling to and from South Africa access regional destinations across 12 African countries, including B. George, Victoria Falls, Harare, Lusaka, Ndola, as well as transfers from Johannesburg, Cape Town and Durban. The connectivity provided by the new code share between Emirates and Airlink will enable the offering of competitive fares, combined ticketing, and seamless baggage transfers when connecting between the two airlines. Elsewhere, the National Bank of Ethiopia has ordered all commercial banks in Ethiopia to temporarily suspend lending via a directive issued. The temporary suspension has been made to prevent what NBE officials described as economic sabotage. The directive sent to banks suspends lending using houses, buildings, and other assets as collateral. Ethiopia's State Minister of Finance says the measure has been necessary and the suspension will remain till further notice. Finally, Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari signed into law an oil overhaul bill. Analysts say the bills approved this year was essential to attracting a shrinking pool of capital for fossil fuel development. Major fuel marketers and other observers had been alarmed by a provision that they said could give Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote, an effective monopoly on fuel sales in Nigeria, while the communities where oil and gas is produced had pressed for a larger share of oil money.
Further afield, Jeff Bezos' space firm Blue Origin is suing NASA over a decision to award a $2.9 billion lunar lander contract to Elon Musk's SpaceX. The former Amazon boss's firm said there were fundamental issues with the deal, calling it unfair. Here are the details of these and others from across the globe.
The row stems from a decision in April to hand the deal to one company, not two as expected because of a funding shortfall. NASA is yet to comment, but it has the backing of a federal watchdog. In a court filing on Friday, Blue Origin said it continued to believe that the two providers were needed to build a landing system which will carry astronauts down to the moon's surface as early as 2024. It also accused NASA of unlawful and improper evaluation of its proposal during the tender process. In July, Bezos offered to cover up to $2 billion of NASA's cost in order to be reconsidered for the contract, but he was rebuffed. Meanwhile, Facebook says it has banned the Taliban and all content supporting it from its platforms, as it considers the group to be a terrorist organization. The company says it has a dedicated team of Afghan experts to monitor and remove content linked to the group. Its rapid takeover of Afghanistan raises fresh challenges for technology firms on how to deal with content related to the group. The social media giant says it does not make decisions about the recognition of national governments, but instead follows the authority of the international community. Finally, automaker General Motors Company says it will replace all battery modules in some Chevrolet Bolt electric vehicles under an announced recall. The module replacements, which could start as early as later this month, comes after General Motors recalled its 2017 to 2019 model year Bolt battery-powered cars for the second time in less than a year. 2 fire incidents were reported after the initial recall, including one in a Bolt that has updated software. However, the automaker says it would replace recalled vehicles' lithium-ion battery modules with new modules, rather than replacing entire battery parks. Reporting for Lunchtime News, my name is Hibak Said.
Let's now do the sport. Organizers have confirmed spectators will not be allowed at the Tokyo Paralympic Games, with the event set to begin on 24th of August. Everyone is encouraged to watch the games at home because of the city's ongoing struggle with coronavirus. The first batch of the Kenya National Paralympics team that will feature in this year's edition of the Games in Japan will leave the country on 21st of this month.
Organizers have confirmed spectators will not be allowed at the Paralympic Games in Tokyo, Saitama, Chiba and Shizuoka because of infection rates in those regions. The Japanese government has proposed expanding and extending the country's state of emergency, with the Paralympics beginning on 24th August, as well as stadiums fans who are also requested not to attend road events. School children will still be allowed to attend at the request of local authorities or school administrators. The Kenyan team has vowed to register good results in the coming event, aiming to better their 35th overall finish in Rio, Brazil in 2016, where they bagged a total of 6 medals, 3 gold, 1 silver and 2 bronze medals.
That is where we end it here on Lunchtime News this particular afternoon. Thank you very much for your valued company. My name is Betty Kiptum, and have yourself a lovely afternoon. See you tomorrow.
Vera Beauty College.
Vera Beauty and Fashion College, with branches in Nairobi, Eldoret, Thika and Meru. Did you know that we are a TVET approved institution? We offer courses in fashion design, interior design in soft furnishing, event decoration, flower arrangement, event planning, hairdressing, barbering and dreadlocks, beauty therapy, makeup, nail technology, spa massages, teaching skills, TOT, solo business management, and many more. Register now and visit our website on www.verabeautycollege.com. You can also call on 0725 923 550 Nairobi branch, 0728 087 689 Eldoret branch, 0722 227428 Thika branch, 0725 000-706 Meru branch. Vera Beauty and Fashion College, a TVET approved institution.
The 2016 Paralympic Games in Rio saw a number of world records being shattered, notably in athletics, where the disciplines, nearly a quarter of them were shattered, and Kenyans were not left behind, led by the likes of, among others, Henry Kirwa and Samuel Mushai. That is why we have cause to celebrate them as always, and they won a total of 3 gold medals, a silver and 2 bronze medals. That is how it all began, with the lighting of the flame at the Maracana Stadium after Brazilian paraswimmer Clodoaldo Silva ensured the torch reached its destination to kickstart the 2016 Paralympic Games, where 23 parasports were being contested over 11 days, hoping that many would be inspired by the sporting excellence showcased by these athletes whenever they are given the opportunity. The hosts were not left behind either, as they showcased their culture, coining the theme around the elements to show that everybody has a heart. And the Kenyan team this time around went a notch higher, led by Samuel Mushai, who was more determined than ever to rise to the occasion, led by his sighted guide James Boit in the visually impaired track race known as the T11, which has the highest level of visual disability, with athletes running in blindfolds alongside their guides. First of all, he won the first medal at the 2016 Games when he bagged the gold in the 5,000 meters T11 event in a personal best of 15 minutes, 16.11 seconds, led by his guide James Boit, as they both saw off the Brazilian pair of Odea Santos, guided by Carlos Santos, as another Kenyan pair, Wilson B, settled for bronze, guided by Bernard Correll in another personal best of 15 minutes, 22.96 seconds. And all were awarded medals with their sighted guides as the norm, since they are integral members of the Games. Samuel Mushai, who's also the world record holder in the T11 1500 meters race, then ensured he retained the Paralympics gold in 4 minutes 03.25 seconds, ahead of Odea once again and Deniz Semitri of Turkey. Henry Kirwa was not left behind either, after settling for bronze